It's now 17 minutes away from 8. It's time for the voice of the creative economy, Vincent Heeringa from Idealogue magazine, idealogue.co.nz. Good morning, Vincent.
Good morning, Wammo. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And the frosty mornings, the cold nights and the clear days must mean that Field Days is around the corner.
Yeah, Field Days is on, and I was there yesterday. I had to shoot back to Auckland for administrative purposes, but they dawned blue and crisp yesterday at Field Days, with some tens of thousands of people descending to Mystery Creek for their annual spend-a-thon, rural spend-a-thon. I saw someone buy a $270,000 tractor yesterday with bits attached.
Wow.
A lovely John Deere tractor.
And thanks to the bank manager, or thanks to the white gold?
White gold. Actually, it's kind of relevant because it's very much a white affair. It's surprising for for an event that represents Heartland New Zealand. It is surprisingly white and surprisingly male and middle class and sort of middle aged. And one of the challenges for the industry, spoken about at the leaders' breakfast yesterday morning, is this talent shortage that is happening in the agri sector. As an industry, they're just not attracting the youngest and the smartest into the sector, and it reflects in the ethnic makeup, and it reflects in the age makeup of farming and of agribusiness in general.
How do you fix that? But because the money's there, obviously, that's an attraction.
Yeah, well, I guess at the very least there's a marketing job to do of convincing people that the agri sector, which does, as you say, involves a huge amount of money, a huge amount of opportunity. There's science, innovation, marketing, logistics. It's not just running a farm that involves, it is required for agribusiness. There's every discipline required to get our products offshore. I mean, it's our one large export business and opportunity. So if you wanted a global, career in global finance or logistics or marketing, that would be your best shot, is working for the likes of Fonterra.
Would you think that there's a generation, I don't know what you call them, they're probably around the age 10 at the moment, that are being, there's all this information about environmentalism being pumped into them at the moment, and about how bad sort of some things are, our waterways and all that kind of stuff, and they might see farming and agriculture as a bad thing and not something that you'd want to get into. It's sort of a little bit damaging, and then it's sort of, they're not being taught that, well, maybe you could make a difference. Maybe you could change things.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk yesterday about the bad PR that agriculture and primary sector is suffering from. And there's a huge issue for dairy around environmental management and performance. And there's also an issue around ownership. And as we've talked about before, the level of paranoia about Chinese investment in agri is almost at a xenophobic level, and there's quite a lot of concern expressed yesterday at the leaders' breakfast that kind of xenophobia is actually going to put Chinese investors off, and they could just as easily spend their money in Australia. And we're in a privileged position in that we've done this free trade deal with China, and there is a lot of investment going the other way, with Fonterra, just as an example, buying farms and doing joint ventures in China. There's a lot of PR there's a bit of a town-country split emerging. Yeah. And also a generational split, that people are not perceiving the primary sector as a place to get a job, or that it's a good thing for New Zealand.
Interesting stats from rural towns this week that they by far per capita were losing more people to Australia or overseas than the cities.
That's very interesting, isn't it? So the rural economy is not necessarily, trickle down effect may not be happening as everyone is hoping. But the future is bright, Wammo, for the agri sector, and you just look in China in particular. Out of nowhere, literally out of nowhere, China has now occupies buys 25% of all of our milk, and that will continue to grow. And if you look at the graphs of growth that China in particular, but you add India as well, the developing world, the demand for food, and it's almost hyperbolic. The curve just shoots up, whereas the rest of the world stays pretty steady. As more and more middle-class people emerge in that developing world, the demand for high-quality, clean, environmentally sourced food will continue. And so we've almost got two things going on. In Australia, they talk about the two-speed economy. Well, here we've got a two-speed perception about agri, that there is this perception that perhaps it was a sunset industry, and for many years, and I would include myself in this, we've been encouraging people to get into the creative industries and into high-tech manufacturing.
Yeah.
And one of the accountants from KPMG spoke yesterday to say that they, for 50 jobs, they get 1,000 applicants. And that's for an accounting job, for goodness sake, as if we need more accountants in New Zealand. He was the first to admit that it's tragic that they are training people that ultimately probably find work overseas as accountants, whereas we have an awesome export opportunity in New Zealand with our high-quality food production. And as I say, it's not just about being a farmhand or being a dairy farmer. It's about food science and about marketing and logistics and finance. And, there's so much more to this industry than down on the farm. And, perhaps the answer is marketing, actually selling it properly.
So you're heading back down to field days. Are the stock whips, or whatever you call them, are they still the big item?
Actually, the big item is massage chairs. Wherever you go, there are back wobblers, bum wobblers, knee vibrators. They seem to be de rigueur at the moment. That and all-in-one cutting implements. Whichever way you turn, there are knives that can cut steel pipes, limbs, bones, dogs, nuts, whatever. It's all there. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff, but really the heart of Mystery Creek is there's two things really. There's the ability to buy awesome farm machinery and some very cool innovation down there, inventions. They always have a big tent of Kiwi inventors and awesome stuff coming out of Lincoln, Waikato, Massey universities. These kids that have invented cool stuff. Cool. It's a neat atmosphere, and the weather helps a lot. And if you're a townie, get down there. Now, see how the other half live.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I do want to try and finish on something positive. Now, we started this feature, I think we called it the Big Idea or something along those lines back in 2006. I think.
Really? Is that how long we've been going?
2006, 2007, yeah. Yeah, it's a wee while now. And that was in the good times. Boy, the economy was booming, housing market was just going nuts. But I do remember that you did see some clouds on the horizon back then, sort of in 2007. And then, of course, it all happened. 2008 went down, and we've seen, it's go sort of slightly up and a little bit down and up and down since then. Now, I think it was Treasury, you say, I might have that wrong, but someone in Treasury was saying that this downturn could last for the next 5 to 10 years, which is pretty sort of grim.
Disappointing, isn't it?
Very disappointing. So,
did you say we were ending on a positive note?
Yeah, well, I was just saying, so what positive thing can we take out of that? Because this is the end of this particular feature, and it would be nice to look forward, even in the knowledge that this recession might last for 10 years.
Well, the brilliant thing about New Zealand, Wammo, is that when the boom was happening, we weren't particularly boomish. When the recession's happening, yes, we've had a recession, but we're not Greece or Spain. We're certainly not Afghanistan. So there's a lot of positives to say that at least we're not like, if you know what I mean. We haven't had our legs blown off. We haven't suffered a complete collapse in our banking structure. So we're in a fantastic position in that regard. But also, I think there is incredible reasons for optimism. And you think about what does New Zealand do best, and you think about where is the growth. And I'm talking about economically. Where's the growth coming from? It's coming from our nearest neighbours: Australia, Indonesia, China, India, we've got a great contribution to make to those countries in terms of our food, in terms of our education, our science, our innovation, our manufacturing. We don't have to do much. We don't actually have to get very much for us to be a successful little place. And I suppose the exciting thing for me is every day through Ideologue I'm exposed to people who are building the most incredible machinery or apps or have boutique niche food offerings for the rest of the world. And I just think we lack a lot of confidence in New Zealand. We ought to be prouder of what we've got. And, I hope that the little show that we've done, Wammo's, exposed people to the creative genius that runs through the rest of the country.
I think so, and there's a great archive of our chats in video and audio form up at wammo.co.nz. Vincent, absolute pleasure, and thanks very much for your contributions to the show over the years. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for the great opportunity, Wammo. You take care and take a little bit of Kiwi to London with you.
Will do, mate. See ya. It's now 6 minutes away from 8, and up after the news we'll have